Hi everyone, it's Margaret here with 60andMe. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm really grateful for your company and for taking the time to join together with sisters in 60andMe community all around the world to really talk about just how we're doing these days. And we are publishing articles on our 60andMe website on a range of topics, from humorous to serious, and of course a lot of articles about how to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, which is affecting every single person in this world. It just seems unbelievable that so many people are impacted by this. I've been looking at webcams and pictures all around the world of cities just in complete silence, no people, just wonderful sites that are normally crowded with tourists, just absolutely still. And it's just hit me just how dramatic this is, how incredibly intense and vulnerable, how emotions are absolutely amplified right now. And we've been talking regularly with all the women in our Facebook group and other channels here, and finding that there's, on the whole, a real resilience and a real strength. Everybody is doing the best that they can to support the effort to stay safe and healthy, and also to protect the people around them by staying home. And more importantly, for a lot of us, being close to our families in creative ways, ways that we didn't expect. So there's a lot of pressures coming all over the place. And normally I do articles about how to, find distractions and how to have fun and, to see the light side of this, what fashion to wear, what makeup to wear. And that is absolutely part of all of this. This is all part of the plan. This is how we have to get through this. But at the other side of it, there's a lot of conversation with my friends and people in our community about what it's bringing out emotionally. And I don't think there's a single woman in this community who's watching this who hasn't had a good cry the last few weeks about the situation. It's so overwhelmingly sad that so many people are dealing with, with sickness and loss and change. So the topic that I want to talk to you about today, though, is these emotions and whether we should be protecting our own children and our grandchildren from it, or is it okay to be vulnerable? Is it all right? Now, should we reveal our vulnerability? And I think that there's some really good observations here made by one of our bloggers, Margaret Rutherford, a doctor who is just a very insightful woman. I've interviewed her before, and I've got just a little bit of conversation that she put into one of our articles about what she calls perfectly hidden depression. And she's just released a book on this subject. And I think it's just not even related to the COVID-19 situation. She has been writing about this, the way that people, especially women over 60, hide their emotions. And they may look like they're perfectly functioning in the world, no problem. They've got, they've got maybe jobs, or they volunteer, or they are out in the world. And you would think, to look at them, like they're perfectly okay. But she has discovered, and as a psychiatrist, that there's been beneath that, there is a deep depression in many cases. And this international rise of depression and suicide, and the impacts of hiding depression and has not been created by the COVID-19 situation, because it happened long before that, but it's actually been amplified by it. So I think this is a good time in some ways to talk about it, and to say it whether it's it feels comfortable with you, to every now and again share, and to show that your grandchildren and your children that you're vulnerable, that you feel sad, and it's okay. And that in doing that, you get it out into the open and get somewhere that it can be dealt with, and you can find ways to not have the double challenge of feeling sad and depressed or lonely in a lonely sense, not the alone sense, because being alone is okay. And we're having to find that part in our hearts and our bodies to be strong alone. But loneliness is something else. So that sense of helplessness and hopelessness, that's what we're talking about here. So this perfectly hidden depression, PHD, are people who often we look up to. They're sometimes celebrities. They're people who have got what we think we want. They are the people that have all these amazing homes and money and possessions and, what looks like a joyful, beautiful life. But they are the people sometimes that talk about empowerment and about, love and being happy and comfortable. They don't look depressed. but they are sometimes. And it's important to us that we recognize that those people sometimes that we idolize and we think are doing just fine may be the very people who need help and who are hiding behind a wall, and a very intense wall, like a brick wall of protection from the outside world. So I guess the bottom line here is, whatever you have been feeling the last few months, it is totally, completely normal. There is no way of getting around the fact that what all of us in the world, not just in the United States or Canada or UK or Sweden or Spain or France, or everywhere we're being affected by this. And everywhere, women and men, but women, because that's who I'm talking to here, are being impacted by that holding back. And this actually happened to me a little while ago, just a few days ago, actually, where something happened that made me feel very, very sad. It was just, well, it was a combination of things, news, watching what's going on in the UK. And I just sat down and I just started to cry. And as I started to cry, I realized I couldn't cry. I was like, I had this pain in my chest from like just wanting to cry. And I knew that it would help me if I could just have a good cry, but I couldn't. And that was when I realized that I was protecting myself to a degree that I just felt if I let go, if I let the emotions show to myself, I was just totally by myself, but that would somehow open a floodgate of uncontrollable sadness. And I just realized that, and it helped me a lot to see that I needed to have a chat with some people about it. And I talked to some friends, and it was actually interesting that others said the same thing, that they're finding it harder. Now, some people find it easy to cry when we go through these things. And actually, I'm a pretty easy crier. In the normal situation, I can look at a little child, crying, and I feel like I want to cry. But now I couldn't. So I think that's the thing to look for. If you're feeling those feelings of an inability to express your emotions, feeling like you're the only one that's going through this, that everybody else is just cheerful and happy, or, they're doing their French lessons and they're making their sweaters and they're learning new skills and watching programs on movies and, writing about their life as, this reinvention and beauty. Not everybody is, trust me. And if you're feeling sad and depressed and lonely, and maybe felt this way before, this is the point of this article. Margaret's book about perfectly hidden depression isn't just talking about this COVID-19. It's about a way of life that a lot of women created to protect themselves from their sadness and from their world. But the point here is that you may see a friend who looks perfectly normal. They don't look like they're depressed, look like they're sad. And sometimes the easiest thing to say to someone is that, "Are you okay?" And then stop and listen. Let them answer. "Are you okay?" Or another one is, "How are you doing?" And say it with your eyes so that you really honestly want to know, how are you doing? And that ability to just watch for people and for yourself. If you're hiding, it isn't a big deal. It isn't to admit you're feeling weak or sad. And it absolutely, in my opinion, is good for your grandkids to see you cry now and again. It's okay for your children to know you're feeling this is overwhelming. It's okay. They've got their own challenges too, and you obviously need to be sensitive to them, because this is like young moms are also often in this situation. They're trying to cope, do well, please everybody, and they're, sometimes struggling. So we're in this together. We're in this together, not just in the good that's going to come from this and in maybe the fun we're having at home by ourselves. And lots of women are finding this super easy. And, but that we're in this together in the dark times too. And I want you to know that 60andMe is here for you. We are writing articles, as I said, they're across the spectrum. I'm doing videos like this almost every day, every other day, and they're here to help. They're here to inspire you and encourage you to just know that this is all going to be okay. We're going to get through this together. So be strong, be safe, and be calm, and be kind. That is my mantra for myself. Maybe it will help you too. And check out the article by Margaret. Maybe look at the book, because if you're feeling sadness that's beyond what you can manage, you maybe need to get some help. And, you know, we're all here to support you and everyone. So take very good care and stay strong and safe. And we'll be back shortly with more information to share with you. But right now, just enjoy the rest of your day. Breathe. Know that you're doing okay. We'll talk again very soon. Bye-bye for now, everybody.